What is going on, you beautiful thought-having people, you? Give it thought back here today for another Final Fantasy 15 discussion video. And today I want to tackle the question as to whether or not there is too much product placement in Final Fantasy 15. And the reason I wanted to make this video is because I think that it can be easily misconstrued that this was a shallow attempt by Square Enix just to get more money. And I hope that I can change some of your opinions by the end of this video. So without further ado, let's jump right into this one. So Final Fantasy 15 has product placement, and a lot of it. Does it automatically make the developers at Square Enix greedy people? Okay. Alright. Oh, look, there goes Sean Murray. He's lying about No Man's Sky again. Whew, I didn't think I was going to lose them. But anyway, yes, it may make them seem greedy, and I'll get to that in a second. But first, let's look at what product placement is actually in the game. First off is the most well-known offender, American Express. In this screenshot shown off by the company itself a while ago, the American Express logo is clearly visible in what looks like a convenience store. I think Noctis may be as confused as everyone else as to what that is doing there. I mean, this is Final Fantasy, after all, where America does not exist. And if you sign up for an American Express card in Japan in a certain amount of time, you will get a free copy of Final Fantasy 15. But we clearly see the first piece of evidence for product placement here. Next up is Coleman. The logo for this outdoorsy company is plastered all over tents and chairs in this camping scene. I'd be willing to bet that that lantern is Coleman as well. I think anyone familiar with the brand is as perplexed as I am as to why they thought Final Fantasy 15 held a demographic for their advertisements. I don't think many players of this game will see this and be ready to go camping anytime soon. The final example, and least offensive here, is the inclusion of the Audi R8. While this was in the accompanying movie, Final Fantasy 15 Kingsglaive, it still exists within the universe of the game. This one stands out the least to me, but it is also the least useful. Square Enix created a bunch of fake car brands in the game, so it seems unnecessary, except, well, for the money. And there's many more examples of this in the game. I just chose these three because they stood out the most. So why would Square Enix do this? Well, money, of course. Did you think I had another reason or something? I mean, I did kind of lead you to believe that it wasn't greed in the first place. But they want more money to put into the game, plain and simple. But the question I want to examine is the one stated previously. Are they greedy for pursuing this kind of marketing? And the answer I'm giving to you is a resounding no. And to support that before that angry crowd returns, I'm going to give you this example. Back in the glorious days of when Breaking Bad was still in the process of revolutionizing the way television was written, shot, and directed, they ran into a few budget snags. So what did the producers for that show do? They went out and snatched up a product placement deal with Dodge. Most viewers never noticed because of how well it played into the plot of the show, but it was clearly an advertisement for the new cars. And not to mention a great scene in and of itself. Now back to Final Fantasy 15. It is the same story. The development cycle for this game started all the way back in 2006. And if you're keeping count, that's about 10 years ago now. So with that in mind, it is easy to see how a team could run into budget constraints. And as evidenced by the rampant product placement throughout this game, so much so that they couldn't even hide it in the promotional material, Square Enix got tired of throwing their own money at it, and so brought on other companies to do it. So basically what I'm saying here is that it was a business decision. Which, yes, the blood of corporations is cold hard cash. But when Square Enix needed a green transfusion, they ran to the local hospital. Which was sponsored, of course. All of it was an effort to get the game to you, and clearly make them more money. But it wasn't all about greed. And that is what I want people to remember when they ride through the magical land of Eos in their Audi R8, which was fueled by gas paid for with an American Express, and with Coleman camping gear in the trunk. So what does everyone else think? Do you agree with me, and can you see the good in all this corporate collusion? Or am I completely delusional and have bought into the Illuminati's dogma? Tell me down in the comments. Honestly, I just like to play video games and talk about them. So whatever road they take to get to me is their choice. But I think that's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. All you have to do is click the annotation in the upper left corner of this video and you'll be taken right to my channel where you can click that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video about Final Fantasy 15, why not check out the last news update I did about it as to why the course of open world changes to linear towards the end of the game. It's pretty interesting if you're waiting for this game and want to know more about it, so check that out. But I think that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, give thought to everything.